Hello, Hygar Hellfist again with another Call of Duty Zombies game. So today we're gonna run over the or go over the new Warhammer 40k event that just dropped. So let's go ahead and get that open here. Um, it's as expected an XP event. So again, for those unaware, basically you earn XP, and for however much XP you earn, in this case to get the first cell, we have to earn 9,500 XP. For the second, we have to earn 21,500 XP, so on and so forth. And it's cumulative, so you don't have to earn 9,500 and then another 2,105 or 2,105. 21,500. I'll learn to speak eventually. So yeah, up to the end is, I believe, yeah, a little over 500,000. So, however, if you have the new operator skins, the Ultramarines and Blood Angels operator skins, you get an extra 5,000 XP per game. So that's nice. I don't have that, so it is what it is. So we'll go over each cell, and I'll tell you what I like about it, what I don't like about it, and whatnot. The first one, no fear, weapon sticker. Basically, this is going to be one of my new weapon stickers. It looks amazing. Again, I'm not a big Ultramarines fan, but overall, it looks awesome. Very, very pleased with this, and it's right off the bat, so very excited. The next one is March from a Crag calling card, not animated, and again Ultramarines, so it looks okay. Looks typical Warhammer 40k. Probably won't change mine for it, but good to have. I like it. The next one is a Battle Pass tier skip. So the next, so if you don't already have the Battle Pass completed, you can skip a tier. Hopefully this stays till the next Battle Pass, and I can use it then. So that's pretty nice and fairly early, so that's pretty good. The next is Righteous Hatred. Couple of chainsaws crossed. It's weapon charm. Probably won't use this. I like my Mothman charm. But it looks nice. Who knows? Eventually, maybe I might start using it. We'll see. The next one is the Inquisitorial Seal. So basically, the Inquisition is just like any other Inquisition, like the nobody expects the Spanish Inquisition kind of thing. They root out heresy. Is their big one. Heresy and unbelievers and things like that. The Sisters of Battle it kind of worked closely with them, because they do also work again for the Ecclesiarchy, which is kind of dedicated to rooting out heresy and the various things. So Inquisitors, kind of fairly closely linked with the Sisters of Battle. So that's probably where this is from. But it looks nice. I like it. I'm not a big Inquisition fan. There are some good Inquisitors, but they can be pretty nasty. To give you an idea, they have the authority to just destroy a planet for whatever reason they may deem fit. They answer to no one, except maybe their superiors. And their superiors most likely are probably as ruthless and whatnot as them. So, yeah, Inquisition can be pretty nasty. Very, very good looking sticker, though. It looks amazing. I like it. The next one is for the Emperor. This looks like pretty much the Guardsman, because it has the las rifle. That's they have different patterns of las rifle, but that's the most ambiguous looking version of it right there in the middle. And it looks like maybe a lion of some sort or something in there. Again, you can see kind of the death motif with the skull in there. Again, with a lot of this stuff, you'll see skulls, because the death motif is very popular in the artworks and the lore. It looks pretty cool. Won't change for my current emblem, but it looks. I like the look of it. It looks great. The next one looks to be a skin for the stun grenade. It's called a Psych Out skin, or Psych Out grenade. Basically, Psych Out grenades in the Warhammer 40k lore is almost like an EMP, but for magic. In this case, Psychers. Psychers use what's called the Warp to power their magic abilities. A Psych Out grenade kind of does an EMP-like effect against Psychers, where they then can't use their warp abilities, their magic abilities. So that looks pretty tight. I'm going to see if I can change my skin for that. I don't know if you can do that in zombies, but I'm going to try. I'm definitely going to try. Next one is another calling card. This one is animated, and it's the Sons of Sanguinius, basically the Blood Angels. Looks pretty cool. Trying to see what that... Yeah, it looks like another Blood Angel kind of there in the... I like it. It's not terrible. Again, it won't change out what I currently have, but it looks nice. Another emblem. This I could be persuaded to use. This, in case you aren't aware, when I was talking yesterday in my video, or not, maybe not yesterday if you haven't seen it, but my previous video from this one, I talked about the bolter and how the new haymaker in the tracer pack looks kind of like a bolter. Well, these are what bolters look like. They don't have a stock, because Space Marines are generally strong enough to use them without needing a stock. But they're heavy caliber, just automatic grenade launchers, basically. Very, very cool emblem looking. I might use that, at least for a little while. At least during the event. We'll see. Innocence Proves Nothing is the name of it. Which is, like I was saying, kind of... Just because you may be innocent doesn't mean you're actually innocent. Kind of thing. They love that. Loading screen, Adeptus Astartes. I will definitely be adding this to my loading screens that I use. Hopefully I get it fairly often. Again, not my favorite chapter, but this is your typical artwork kind of thing for Space Marines, and a lot of battle scenes in Warhammer 40k. Just a lot of huge fighting against, kind of impossible odds. So very cool looking loading screen. Definitely looking forward to that. Get a double XP token. Nothing major there. And the last thing is the ultimate reward when you get to 548,500 XP is the Wasp 9? Basically the Uzi. And we'll bring that up full blown. It looks pretty nice. Has the Inquisitorial seal on there. A lot of gold. I'll definitely be using it. If I ever... Yep, Wasp 9. WSP 9. If I ever go... when I go back to play the WSP 9 for like camos and stuff like that, I'm definitely going to be using this. Looks pretty fun. Not a big fan of the optic. As you know me, I like my kind of a little bit more visibility optics. But it looks really good. I really like it. So that is the Warhammer 40k event. Again, you play your games as you gain experience. It goes against this event, and you unlock cells as you go. So the next thing we're going to kind of go quick over is the weekly challenges. We got 250 kills, full auto with a battle rifle. All this is recommended weapons, except for, it's very specific weapons like the longbow or the haymaker. But everything else that's just like general speaking is going to be a recommended weapon. In this case, 250 kills with a recommended battle rifle. 250 critical kills with a pack-a-punched recommended weapon. 5 special zombie critical kills with a recommended weapon. 250 kills with a silenced recommended battle rifle. So, not too terrible. 150 kills with a pack-a-punch longbow. Fairly easy. At least for zombies. especially if you get the longbow from the sniper in the hotel. That weapon is pretty good for this. 250 kills with the haymaker at epic or higher. That one, again, not terribly hard. I like the haymaker, especially the new aftermarket part with it. Turns it into a shotgun LMG. But purple rarity or higher. I have some extra ones, so this shouldn't be too difficult for me to knock out pretty easy. And then today what we're going to do is we're going to work on getting the 300 kills with the Pack-a-Punch Holger 5.56, which means we probably are also going to knock out the critical kills, maybe. I'm not going to be aiming specifically for the heads. But because it's Pack-a-Punch, I might knock out this one as well, the critical kills. And I may even knock out the 5 special zombie critical kills, because I usually go after the crit zones on special zombies. And especially when you're exfilling, you usually get, a few manglers that try to jump in there for you. But the reward for completing 5 of these, and I believe it's any 5 from, again, multiplayer, battle royale, or zombies. As long as you complete 5 of those, you get the I don't want to track that. You get the jacksaw, or backsaw, for the Holger 5.56. As far as I can tell, it basically turns it into an SMG. It doesn't really say. I'll have to check up on what it actually does, because it doesn't really tell you what it does. So, but it looks pretty cool. Like I said, looks like it turns into an SMG. And of course, another week on the Rotten Inferno camo. Once you hit, if you complete 5 things each week, at the end you'll get the Rotten Inferno, which it actually looks pretty cool. I very much like this camo. Animated, but not too flashy. So, all right, let's go ahead and get started on our game. It's going to be pretty simple. Like I said, focusing on getting the Holger 5.56. Yep, I do have a Pack-a-Punch. Of course, it's pink. And yeah, we'll get the weekly challenge done. Maybe 2 or 3 of them. We'll see. But mostly, I'm going to try to take this time to just ramble about Warhammer 40k. If you watch my previous video, I am a huge Warhammer 40k fan. I'm not completely up on it like some other people, and I tend to focus on the Space Marine chapter that I like, the Space Wolves. Those are the main novels that I've read, but I do, dib and dabble in other factions and things like that. I do like the Orcs. I like a Space Marine Legion, because they were legions before they became chapters during the Horus Heresy, and we'll go over that in the game. But part of the Chaos, they have basically Khorne Berserkers, which are just I'll go over it here in a little bit when the game starts, but they're all about just killing. Killing for killing's sake. Well, killing for Khorne's sake. I like the Orcs again. Most of the other factions I do enjoy, have looked up. The Eldar are pretty cool. Basically space elves. The Dark Eldar are space elves into bondage, is kind of the quickest way to describe them. If we get into it, I'll tell you more if we get around to it. Oh, excuse me. But yeah, Warhammer 40k is one of my favorite basically worlds. Like, I definitely wouldn't want to live in it.
Pack-a-Punch marked.
Because it is very tends to be. Oh yeah, I don't have a. Speed Cola, but it's fairly close by. We can go get that here in a little bit. It's not a world I would choose to live in, because unless you're part of the elite, you're basically a slave. Although with the new stuff that's kind of come out for it, the Indomitus Crusade, to give you an idea, like the Primarchs for the Space Marines have all kind of disappeared for basically 10 millennia. And for the Space Marines, their Primarch, Rabute Gilliman, he didn't disappear, but he was in stasis that whole time because he got fatally wounded. And somebody grabbed that. Okay, well, we'll go get the Speed Cola. But he basically got fatally wounded by, I think, one of the traitor Primarchs. If I remember correctly, Fulgrim, who is the Primarch of the Emperor's Children. Well, I know he was the Primarch of the Emperor's Children. And they fought because, kind of catch you up a little bit, is Horus was the favorite of the Emperor out of all the Primarchs. And when the Emperor went back to Earth, or Terra as it's colloquially known in the Warhammer 40k universe, but basically Earth, he left Horus in charge of the Crusade to basically take over the galaxy. Well, unfortunately, that didn't turn out that great. Horus rebelled after being turned to chaos by Erebus of the Word Bearers, who was the first to kind of turn against the Emperor and rebel. They didn't do it openly, though, because the Word Bearers were treated the Emperor as a god. They worshipped him as a god. Yeah. And the Emperor, when he found out about it, basically rebuked them. Time to go. Because as I've talked about, the Emperor was trying to get people away from worshipping gods.
Have eyes on deliver cargo contract.
Right, he didn't see himself as a god. He didn't want people worshipping gods. And so when the Word Bearers decided to worship him as a god, he took offense to that and rebuked them. And after that, they kind of turned towards chaos. Because their Primarch, the Word Bearer Primarch, when he was a child, and was cast out from the Emperor's lab. He was sent to a world that was heavily religious. And so Erebus became heavily religious himself. And then when the Emperor came, he basically started worshipping the Emperor as a god.
I don't want to stress you out, bruv.
Which, of course, caused the rest of his legion to worship him as god as well, because the legion typically followed what the Primarch did, right? So, yeah, so the Word Bearers, in particular Erebus, one of their chaplains, was the first to fall to chaos, the evil gods of the war. They orchestrated Horus to get severely injured, and eventually caused his downfall to chaos, to evil. And he rebelled against the Emperor. And basically, to make it fair, half of the Primarchs and half the legions fell to chaos. The other half stayed loyal. Although there's two exceptions to that. Two of the Primarchs, which were found, were apparently expunged and killed by the Emperor. And nobody, not even the lore, says what exactly happened to him.
Looks like Fletcher's gonna have to find another way to keep his teams armed.
So basically, there was 18 Emperor or Primarchs and 18 legions. 9 of them went to chaos. 9 of them stayed loyal.
Found an ether purge
And
contract.
So part of those that went evil was the Emperor's children. Their Primarch fought the Ultramarines' Primarch and mortally wounded him with a poisoned blade. The Ultramarines, in turn, entombed their Primarch in basically a stasis field, which kept him from dying, but he was just in stasis. He didn't do anything. Right?
I'll get us
So, eventually, though, 10,000 years later, he was revived by an Eldari, which is the Eldar, the Space Elves, and basically saved. So when he woke up, he saw what had happened to the Imperium while he was out, and he is doing a crusade to kind of take back everything that he can, that the Emperor worked for. Alright, so yeah, he's doing all that, doing another crusade, and Abaddon, which is another character who was basically the second in command of Horus's legion. Horus died at the end of the Horus heresy. The Emperor killed him all. But at the same time, Horus also managed to mortally wound the Emperor. I haven't read the last book, so I don't know exactly how, or if they even actually go into that fight. I'm hoping they do, because it's been kind of a black hole. All we know is that Horus did mortally wound the Emperor, but died in the process. Abaddon was Horus's second in command, what he called the first captain. He was captain of the first company, which basically are the elite of a chapter, or in that case, legion. The difference between a legion and a chapter is after the Horus Heresy, Rabute Gilliman, he didn't actually get hurt until after the Horus Heresy ended. He basically kind of restructured everything because he didn't believe that one man should have command of so many Space Marines, because a legion at that time could be like 100,000 Space Marines.
Enemy movement.
And so they wanted to kind of stop. He wanted to stop that from happening. So he organized Space Marines into chapters, with the writing of the Adeptus Astartes. So most chapters obey that rule of you can only have 1,000 Space Marines in a chapter at any one time. Now, non-Codex Astartes chapters like the Space Wolves, they kind of keep to that a little bit, but not very much. Like, they don't follow the same tactical.
Technically speaking, these anomalies are. No time for that, Barrera. Just call them spores.
You know, they don't follow the same tactical squads and things that Codex Astartes compliant chapters follow.
I love my job. I said no jargon, Barrera.
But they do keep fairly low.
Eliminate nearby spores. Simple as that. I got strike here. Some ugly small logi are headed that way. My friend, you inhibit like no
So, like the Ultramarines, they obviously, because their Primarch wrote the book, they adhere to it, and their chapters are basically stuck at 1,000 men at a time. Now that's not counting new aspirants, but I do believe that counts the scouts. So the scouts, which you can see in the Tracer Pack, are part of the 10th Company. We have the 1st Company, which is the elites, the veterans of the Space Marine chapter. And then you have, you know, the 2nd through 10th Company. And again, the 10th Company is the Scout chapter. Now they do have full Space Marines in the Scout chapter, but those are basically their leadership. Because each Scout squad is led by a sergeant who is a full Space Marine, and usually a veteran, you know, so that way they can train. Sorry, you can't really hear too much of the shooting, but I'm just rambling here. The Scout Sergeant trains the Scouts under his command in warfare and other aspects of being a Space Marine. I'm pretty sure each of the other companies do have a kind of thing they do, or at least their captain is like given a specific responsibility. Where was I?
I'll
yeah, the Rabute Gilliman. I can just ramble on, and I'll go on all crazy sorts of directions. So Rabute Gilliman is alive. He was healed, or at least as healed as he can be. I think he's still technically dying, but as long as he stays in his armor, he won't die. Unless, of course, somebody, you know, kills him. But he won't die from the poison that that kind of put him down the first time. So he's starting the Indominus Crusade, and Abaddon, that's where I was. Abaddon, second in command of Horus's thing, he took over after Horus died. And throughout the 10,000 years, he's kind of done what's called Black Crusades. He's done 13 Crusades, Black Crusades so far. The last one, the 13th, is the one that started where he's basically started a warp rift across the galaxy. And so half the galaxy is not lost, but it's on the other side of this warp rift that, you know, you can't just fly through because it's in the it's the warp. To go on another tangent, the warp is, again, basically what gives Psychers their magical abilities. And in the warp are 4 Chaos Gods. One, my favorite, is Khorne. He's basically the Chaos God of war and slaughter. He cares not from where the blood flows, only that it does. Blood for the blood god, skulls for the skull throne. Those who worship him are basically berserkers. They fight for the sake of fighting, and they don't care who they kill. Kind of their leader at the moment is Karn. He's known as Karn the Betrayer because at some point he started a fight against Chaos, fellow rebel Chaos Legions, and basically became known as the Betrayer because, well, he didn't care who he was killing at that point. He just wanted to kill. So he became known as Karn the Betrayer. Another Chaos God, kind of the antithesis of Khorne, is Tzeentch. Although I'm not exactly sure how you pronounce it, how it's officially pronounced. I call him Tzeentch, or Tzeentch. He is the god of basically magic and mutation. The Thousand Sons, who are another Space Marine chapter, that rebelled against the Emperor. Although at first they weren't rebellious, but they kind of
Found an ether purge contract.
their Primarch, Magnus the Red, tried to warn the Emperor about Horus's betrayal. And in doing so, he used magic. Instead of flying there and telling the Emperor himself, he used magic to span the distance without actually flying through space to get there. And the Emperor had, at a point before that, known as at a place called Nicaea, had said the Space Marines are not allowed to use the warp. Nobody's allowed to use the warp officially. The only people who are even connected to it are the navigators. Well, Magnus used the warp to try to tell the Emperor about it. Well, the Emperor got a little upset that he was using magic to do this. And so he sent the Space Wolves, my favorite chapter, to bring Magnus to him and his chapter to rebuke him.
They infiltrate their surroundings, spreading corruption everywhere. Look alive, strike team. You have guests.
Sorry. And in that process, I think what happened was Horus managed to learn of this And yeah, I think it is lagging pretty good for me. And he kind of changed the orders, so to speak, without telling anybody, or at least not telling the Space Wolves and Lehman Russ, who was their Primarch, about the change in orders, or why. He just said, okay, instead of bringing them, instead of bringing the Thousand Sons to the Emperor to be rebuked, he told the Thousand Sons, or told the Space Wolves, to kill the Thousand Sons. Right? He told him to kill the Thousand Sons. Which they did. They didn't totally kill him off, but they caused a lot of, you know, it was the War on Prospero, which was Magnus's homeworld, the Thousand Sons homeworld. And basically caused, because of the betrayal, it caused
time to go.
Magnus and his legion to fall to chaos. And I'm probably doing a really bad job of explaining a lot of this. It's all coming off the top of my head. But basically that's the gist of it. So after the Horus Heresy, or Horus eventually went to Terra, fought his way across the galaxy, and tried to take over and kill the Emperor. By invading Terra, and he got very close. But at some point in the fighting, while he was on his battleship, he let down his shields, which allowed the Emperor and a bunch of Space Marines and two Primarchs, Sanguinius and... Oop, I drove right past it. Sanguinius and Rogel Dorn, which is Primarch of the Imperial Fists, which I won't go too much into Imperial Fists. No, I didn't want to drop it. There we go. Well, during that fight, again, Horus managed to mortally wound the Emperor, but Horus himself was slain. Abaddon, after this, took over Horus's chapter and caused, you know, went into the Eye of... Well, mainly it's just known as the Eye. But it's basically a warp, kind of a warp rift in Imperial space. During the 13th Black Crusade, he came out of the warp rift and basically caused a warp rift across the rest of the galaxy. I am doing probably a terrible job of explaining all this to you, but I hope it's enjoyable just to hear me rant. But yeah, that's kind of where the things are now. They're waiting. We're kind of waiting to see who shows up. Because what is it? The Dark Angels, which is the one of technically loyalists, but during the Horus Heresy, a lot of them turned to chaos. And so they're technically loyal. They're loyalists, but they have what's called the Fallen, who turn to chaos.
They might sound like empty signs, but those spores are seriously dangerous. They need to help me.
So they're very secretive, and they have a rivalry with Space Wolves. There we go.
I'll get us there.
And what else? So the Space Wolves. Let me go over to Space Wolves. I love the Space Wolves. Space Wolves are my favorite Space Marine chapter. They're the Loyalists. Their Primarch is Leman Russ. And basically, they're space Vikings. And they live on a world called Fenris, which is a death world, so named because pretty much, you know, anybody but those people who are from it kind of die. It's not a, it's a frozen wasteland for the most part. The orbit goes around the sun, their sun. And a very non-standard orbit. It goes very far away, which causes a huge difference in temperature. You know, everything gets frozen, and then during the summer months, or the summer years, because I think it takes about 10 normal Earth years for it to rotate around its sun, or orbit the sun. During the summer years, everything turns like volcanic, you know, land masses, a lot of earthquakes. So land masses are swallowed and created. It's a very harsh world to live in. So pretty much only those who are from it know how to live in it properly, without a lot of technical assistance. What else? So Leman Russ, during the time when the Primarchs were dispersed to the galaxy, Leman Russ landed on Fenris. He was found by a warlord, raised him, and when the Emperor came, he was given control of the Space Wolves. I don't know if they had a different name, because some of the chapters or legions were named differently than what they came to be known after they found their Primarch. I don't know if the Space Wolves had a different name before that. None that I've ever read. Currently, who is shooting at me? Currently, Leman Russ's whereabouts are unknown. At some point after the Horus Heresy, I think about 200 some odd years after the heresy, had a vision that he didn't share with anybody, at least nobody that was left after he left. But he said that he would be back at what's called the Wolf Time. And so kind of all the Space Wolves, after this 13th Black Crusade, has caused a lot of they had a 4x4 called Cadia, which kind of guarded the Eye of Terror, or Eye of
I'll get us there.
the Warp. Oh, dang it. I forgot to stop gas home. Maybe I can go and get gas. I doubt it, though. But ever since this all happened... Nope, I didn't make it. Since this has all happened, everyone has thought this is, at least in the space world, this might be the wolf time. Because things have gone to utter crap, basically. So, me personally, I'm kind of hoping we get Lehman Russ back, because that would be awesome. Let's go back to the Dark Angels, because I kind of got sidetracked. Is their Primarch was called Lionel Johnson, and they had a rivalry with Space Wolves. Well, Lionel Johnson is known to be alive now. He kind of disappeared from... Dang it, sorry for all the coughing. I'm not used to talking this much, but when I talk about 40K, I will ramble on. He disappeared from the lore for 10 millennia. Like, he kind of disappeared too. There were rumors and kind of theories about what happened to him, but he's come back. Officially, he's come back. So we're hoping that some of the loyalist Primarchs, because they all either died off or were killed during the heresy or shortly thereafter. So we're hoping all the Primarchs kind of come back, and at least the ones that we know or we believe are, you know, might still be alive, like Lehman Russ, who just disappeared. So we're all just kind of waiting and seeing, at least in the lore. Because, like I said, Rubute Gilliman, who is supposed to be in stasis and dying, if he ever came out, his comeback.
ATV mark.
So we're hoping that that means other chapters might be coming back as well. Yeah, let's go kill this merc camp.
Move on the objective.
Yeah, well, what else? So the Space Wolves, like I said, Space Vikings.
Oh shit!
Logan Grimnar, to keep going on about the Space Wolves. Logan Grimnar is the current chapter master, current leader of the Space Wolves. Now, another big thing that's come up with the Primarch Rubute Gilliman reawakening is it was found out he started a program to have Space Marines kind of upgraded. All the new stories have revealed that a Archmagos called Belisarius Call created what's called the Primaris Space Marines, and he's worked for 10,000 years to do this, on top of creating new vehicles. He's a Paul is a tech priest of the Mechanicus, which kind of are they kind of worship technology, and they believe in an Omnissiah. Now, whether or not the Omnissiah is the Emperor Although I've read things where they say the Omnisci and the Emperor. So I fully believe the Omnisci is a different being than the Emperor. Or an aspect maybe of the Emperor. I don't know. But Belisarius created the Primaris Space Marines. Which, the thing about Mechanicus is it can take millennia for them to approve something for use that's new. Because they are so fixed in their ways, especially because they control pretty much all the technology. Spaceships wouldn't fly without them. You know, even Space Marines that are kind of tasked with the upkeep of the chapter's vehicles and whatnot, called Tech Marines. They are sent to Mars, which is where the Mechanicus is based out of. They're sent to Mars to get trained, so they're kind of dual loyalty, one to their chapter and two to Mars. So, you know, getting new stuff is that's not pre-approved, which can, like I said, can take millennia sometimes to get approved if it's not based on something that's already pre-approved and it's not like a tiny incremental change. So he's kind of seen as a tech heretic by the rest of the Mechanicus because he didn't go the proper way of getting these things approved. And it's seen also because the Emperor helped create the Space Marines. It's kind of seen as heretical to think that he would improve upon what the Emperor built. So, the Primaris Marines are taller, stronger, faster, but they don't have the experience. At least, well, when they first came out, they didn't have the experience of true Space Marines. So, like a lot of, like for instance, the Space Wolves didn't fully trust these new usurpers, basically.
Reloading.
Because if you were getting if you were seen as getting replaced, you might not be happy about, you know, your replacements either. So the Space Wolves at first initially were hesitant about these Primaris Marines. Now, you can be a Space Marine and go through what's called the Rubicon to become a Primaris Marine. And a lot of Space Marines have done this, although it's not 100%, you know, like it's not guaranteed that you'll even survive it. So it can be a very dangerous thing to do. But yeah, so the Space Wolves very, very wary about it, but they eventually, during one book, they kind of talk about it, which kind of changed their minds about it. And because Space Wolves, like I said, are very, they're besides the Space Viking thing, they also kind of do wolf packs. Like instead of doing a tactical squad, you first become a blood claw, right? For the Space Wolves, they don't follow the Adeptus or the Astartes. Adeptus is, no. The handbook, the Astartes handbook that Rabute Gilliman wrote. Now I'm at a loss for words what it is. They don't follow it at all. They've always been kind of their own thing.
No diversions.
So, how regular Space Marine chapter does it is they first start out as aspirants, and then once they've gone through that training, they're promoted to scouts, which is when I believe they start getting their Space Marine actual upgrades. You know, the organs and whatnot that make them into Space Marine. Like a second heart, a third lung, you know, a thing that lets them spit acid, so on and so forth.
Incoming zombie kill.
And then after they've done their time as a scout, they become a full Space Marine and are sent to a tactical squad. Which that's the main type of squad in any chapter. You have, and they're basically the frontline units, the basic infantrymen of the chapter. Should have known it was an elemental pop. That's all that drops. So, and then there are also assault squads, which use jump packs. Where is this dude shooting from? There he is. And you have Devastators, which are basically the heavy guns. They typically carry like heavy bolters, las cannons, rocket launchers, things like that. And then veterans and so on and so forth. Well, the Space Wolves, they're instead, you know, they have aspirants. They still go through aspirant training. But after aspirant training, they're immediately given everything they need to become a full Space Marine, and are made into what's called Blood Claws. A normal tactical squad is about 10 Space Marines. Well, Blood Claws are usually in packs of like 15 or so. And then as they fight, they're the shock troops. They love glory, they love being at the front of assaults. But the whole time they're learning. They're learning how to be Space Marines. After, you know, some decades of being a Blood Claw, during which they've probably lost a few of their number, they become what's called Grey Hunters, which is the typical tactical unit of Space Wolf, of Space Wolves. After Blood Claw, or after, then you have, like I said, you have Grey Hunters, which are your typical unit, which are like tactical Marines in any other chapter. After that, you have what's called Long Fangs. Those are the heavy weapons. Those are the equivalent of the Devastators. But they're called Long Fangs because Space Wolves grow canines. Like, their canines enlarge. So they have fangs. And to become a Long Fang, that means you've been around for a long time and you have long fangs. Other ones are, you know, Wolf Scouts, which are scouts. They have this lighter armor, but they are typically like Grey Hunters that just didn't really mesh in a Space Wolf pack. So, yeah, I could keep going, but you know, this is the end of the game. I'll leave y'all to it. If you really like Warhammer 40k, definitely check it out. Or if you're interested in it, definitely check it out. It's mainly a tabletop miniatures game, but they have a lot of books, a lot of lore, you know, plenty of stuff for you to get stuck into. It's a great time. I recommend everybody at least look into it. But yeah, just Warhammer 40k is awesome. I definitely recommend it to everybody I meet. I've managed to unlock the first 3 tiers. That's pretty good. I said we'll be using the weapon sticker. And if you made it this far, I apologize for rambling so much. And I apologize, and I'm not that great of a speaker, but I just love talking about Warhammer 40k. I wish I could do it in a little bit more concise manner, but it is what it is. Thank you for joining me. If you want to, go ahead, hit the like button. If not, have a great day. Otherwise, I love y'all. Y'all take it easy. Bye.